Hello, hello, my beautiful beloveds. Welcome to another juicy episode of Deep Penetration with Saidi. This is the show where we dive deep into some juicy topic regarding our sacred sexuality path and our spiritual journey in support of us having those sexy, sensual, juicy, passionate relationships and connections that we truly long for, right? And that we know we're capable of on some level. There's just some things getting in the way, some old patterns, old habits, old frequencies, old collected, inherited experiences of relationship, right? So we are diving deep into that and seeing what we're ready to move through and let go of. Today, we are in alignment with that, speaking about falling in love with somebody's potential. We see this happen a lot. I've done this plenty of times. This is one of my favorite old unhealthy patterns. So I was hearing somebody else speak about it recently. I'm like, yeah, that's something we got to talk about and bring to the channel, right? This is, and I was going to say, women do this a lot because we're really, we love to caretake. We love to take care of others, but men too, it shows up in a different flavor, but the same, like kind of this rescuing, men wanting to rescue the damsel in distress, right? Women really we see the potential, right? And we really want to support and lift people up. And if only they just had this opportunity, they could really blossom, right? They've had a hard life. They've had a hard time. They've had all these, life situations or challenges. And if only they had the right experience, if only they had somebody who really loved them, if only they had, certain resources, then everything would open up for them, right? And we can see this beautiful, like, happily ever after situation. We really create this fantasy of what could be. And we ignore all the red flags of what the actual reality is, right? So, and I've done this, I like rooting for the underdog because I've been there myself, and people were there, supporting and providing opportunity, at times for me. And some of those, I was just too far gone at the time. I wasn't able to take people up on their opportunities. So that was, again, people wanting to kind of save me when I wasn't looking to be saved or wasn't ready. I wasn't at the right place in my life, right? So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, but I do see the potential. Everyone can shine their light really beautifully bright. Everyone is this unique, amazing, gorgeous person and being, and life can be really challenging, and life does throw us a lot of hard knocks, and some people more than others, right? So of course I want to help. Of course I can see the potential. Of course I want to give this person everything they didn't have, and but if that person isn't wanting it, and that's not really their path and what they're into, then we're just really draining our own resources, emotional resources, financial resources, energy resources. There's so many ways that we really can drain ourselves and cause ourselves a lot of pain and suffering, So when we meet a person, it's really important to, what's the reality? What is this person actually presenting? Not what they're talking about, not what they're saying, not what you can see could be, but what's the actual lived experience? How is this person presenting, right? It's really important. And this could not be even not necessarily a person, but other, like maybe it's a job opportunity you're going to, and like they're telling you of all these things that are going to show up in the future, but what's really going on right now, right? And is this the right choice for you? And is it going to be nourishing for you in this moment, right? Because we can do this. This is a pattern, and patterns, when they show up in one area of our lives, tend to show up in its other areas. So if this is a pattern in relationships, how does it show up in other ways where you want to, imagine the best and like see the potential, but the reality isn't there? So we really got to come down out of the mind and that fantasy, and come down into like, what's the truth? What's really going on here, right? So it's so important. I've fallen prey to this. I'll see somebody like a couple of previous people they have a lot of talent, right? There's a lot of skill that they have. Like one person was amazing artist, right? Their art was just so wonderful. And I just like, wow, if only they had support in getting this out, and if people, the opportunities to see it and blah, 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 if they had a website. So then I start creating all these things, right? Because I saw their potential. They weren't actually interested in it. And obviously they could have been doing their own thing to promote that, but I, took it and ran with it, and they said they were interested, but clearly they weren't, because they weren't doing that work. And I just caused a lot of suffering for myself, right? I did it myself. And then you get resentful and like, why aren't you doing anything? Well, they weren't doing anything when I met them, right? They stayed true to their colors. They didn't really lead me on to think that they were any different, but I bought into this idea, this fantasy, this potential. And sometimes people do also like kind of jump on board with it, with the fantasy as well, and then don't follow through. So there's different flavors of this, right? But it's people walking the walk, not talking the talk, right? And it's easy for us to fall prey to that, and again, to see the potential. And I feel like some of the not everybody, life is a journey, right? And we can meet people at different stages in their journey, but if a person is just showing up and you're connecting with them and they're not doing anything to move forward, they don't have any goals, there's no aspiration, there's no, big picture things or things that really speak to them and light their soul up that they're moving towards. And that's going to be different for everybody. It doesn't mean like they have a mansion in this big car, but it's like, are they on a spiritual path? Or what's important to them? And do they live in integrity with it? How are they living their lives? Are they into moving forward and advancing themselves on a soul level, a spiritual growth level, even at that, right? So that's really important. If somebody's just like chilling out, stagnant, and no interest in anything out of life, getting anything out of life, and moving into anything, and learning and growing, and I'd say advancing, that's not exactly it, but I mean, we're always in growth, right? We're always in growth, but some people can just really, really plateau and stagnate and just and be comfortable with that, right? They have no desire, no impetus for growth and spiritual growth and, evolution, right? So if that's important to you, you need to be aware of that, right? And not think that you're going to move in and save somebody. You're going to inspire them. If they only had these teachings, right? That's another way that this can show up around spirituality. A lot of people, they'll get on a path and then they want everyone else to get on this path with them. If they're not into it and they're not showing that they are on their own volition, then, trust that. And you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache. And this is showing up in the sacred sexuality path, right? Just because you're on it doesn't mean, somebody else is going to be interested and jump on board with you. And this happens a lot in relationships where one person starts really getting interested in evolving and bringing in more consciousness around their sexuality or their spiritual growth or any aspect of their lives, and their partner isn't into it, right? They're not coming to it of their own accord. There's not an equal interest. So it's like pulling somebody else along. And that is really draining, and it can really and painful, right? And it can add to a lot of resentment and bitterness and frustration and an energy drain. And so really best to let people come to it on their own and move forward on their own. And, again, that's like, what are people bringing to a relationship? What are people bringing to the container and supporting it? How are they supporting it, right? That will often be mismatched as well. And really important to know this when you're starting out a relationship, right? I mean, it's more challenging when you're already in it and you've established these unhealthy patterns. But for those of you who are just, getting involved with somebody or looking to get involved, it's so important that you get really clear about what's important to you. How do you want to live your life? What are your values? What's important to you regarding sexuality? What does your spiritual path look like? What would be most supportive of you? Journal, get clear, take some time. And then make sure that the person that shows up in your life aligns with all of those things, right? And that you're not trying to force them into it, or you don't see a potential. Oh, if they only had these teachings. Oh, if they only had this opportunity. Oh, if they only had some resources. If they only had a website, right? Everything would be fine. And they could really blossom. No, how are they blossoming when you meet them, right? How are you blossoming when you're connecting with them? Yeah. And if you're in a relationship already, how is that person supporting their own blossoming, right? And how are they nourishing you? Versus, is it just a drain and depleting your energy and not really an equal union and partnership? So I took some notes on this one. I'm gonna check on that and see. Yeah, journal on that. Take some time. Again, get very clear. If you're not clear on what you want, you're going to end up in a thing seeing potential and go, oh, this could work, right? This could be okay. This could be interesting. Just let me explore. And some things, again, we don't have to have it all figured out, but there's some key foundational pieces that are important to you, that are important. We need to get clear on these. So we start creating those healthy, amazing, passionate, loving, supportive, nourishing relationships and connections we truly long for. And this goes with friendships as well. It's not just romantic partnerships or sexual encounters. Sexual encounters. What about that? What's important to you? What interests you? How do you want to connect sexually? At what speed? We got to get clear on these things as well. And if we're not clear, we end up, again, in like some, pain and discomfort and causing our own suffering or resentment and bitterness, and not supported and not nourished. It's draining when we're not clear. So, really important. Put my shirt up there a little bit. Okay. I think that's kind of it. I think, especially if this is resonating with you, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Let's just get really clear with ourselves and get clear at where the other person is. And really, when they're presenting a certain way, trust that. Again, actions speak louder than words. They can be talking about all the things they hope to do in the future or plan to do, or these amazing big plans at some point, but if they're not showing that they're working towards those and they're living in alignment with their values and integrity and such, really, really do trust that. Really do trust that. It's not the person for you this isn't the right timing, right? So let's go to, in this show, we like to go to the cards for additional wisdom and support. So today we're using the Light Seers Tarot. The images are gorgeous. The messages in the book that go along with it are really beautiful. I'll just be, connecting with the kind of traditional archetypes of the tarot as we use these cards. But we might go to the book. We might go to the book and see if there's any messages with something that comes through. So let us still ourselves and breathing down into our pelvic region, into our root. Imagining our roots growing down into the Mother Earth, really connecting with that sacred feminine wisdom and that energy, the solidity, the foundation of our humanity, deep in the earth, this deep connection, right? The strength of our body, really feeling that, trying to move out of our heads, opening our channel, connecting with our higher selves, with our hearts, with our intuition, and with wisdom and guidance as we connect with these cards, right? Really beautiful. So just making sure. My computer's been really strange. It's been shutting off the video, like just right in the middle. So I was just checking to make sure it's all still going. So we're recording, but technology. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'd like to say a little prayer before connecting or before going to the cards. So thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you, Father Sun. Thank you to all the beautiful frequencies that we connect with and support us so beautifully. To our higher selves, to our spirit guides and helpers, ancestors, and this beautiful wisdom of the tarot. Thank you for supporting us on our journey. Any words of wisdom to support us around this topic? Let's see what they have to say on our sacred sexuality journey. Whew. We'll draw. We'll see what comes through here. There's too many there. Wow, it's a lot of cards here. Okay. Ooh. Yep. Okay. Shoot. Well, that was just too many. I kind of like to do 5 because there's number of change and transformation. All right. I think my deck is upside down here. Okay. One more. Ah. Great. And now what's on the bottom? Oh, beautiful. Okay. And then we're going to take that one as well. Great cards here. Okay. Whew. What is coming through here? Excuse me. This is the 5 of Swords is the first card. And again, this is a different version. But look at this. This person is not in a good space, right? And there's those birds. There's this, it's the air element, right? So this is the mind. Obviously, they're in some turmoil there. So that is just really speaking to this. And this is, again, moving out of the mind. And the mind that wants to keep us lost in fantasy, keep us lost in this, potential, in this, what it could be. And there's also what's coming through is it can be hard to break free from the mind that really wants to articulating this. I'm seeing patterns of wanting people to succeed, and the pain that comes with seeing them not succeed, right? But again, it's our idealism, and it's our own projection, right? It's our own. We really are projecting onto another person and trying to fit them into our reality. It's a disconnection from ourself. We need to look at everything as a mirror. Where are we feeling like we aren't living up to our potential? Where are we not harnessing our own energy and our own skills and talents? And where are we? So we're projecting it onto the other. I recognized in myself this was a really easy way for me to distract myself from taking care of my own things and living my life in alignment, right? If I was focusing on them and what they were or were not doing, I didn't have to look at my own stuff, right? So, and then I could just get frustrated with them instead of getting frustrated with my own self, right? And then it was all tied up in these unhealthy belief systems, right? And I really believed that I created a whole thing around it, like really believed what I was telling myself, and believed Also, what's coming through now is also a belief of what success looks like and how somebody should be living their lives, right? And I talk about that a lot on this channel, trying to break out of the boxes we've been handed, the narratives we've been handed. And so this is forcing our own narratives onto somebody else and expecting them to show up in the way that we want them to, because it fits in with what we want. So all of these thought patterns and belief systems are really causing us so much suffering. And it's a 5. So this is about change and transformation. So, really needing to recognize those belief systems, how they're showing up, how they're causing us a lot of pain and turmoil. And from that, it moves into the Sun card. And this is just such a spiritual growth and illumination. So I feel like once we're able to break free from some of these and recognize, really see those patterns in ourselves and see how this is playing out. If any of this is resonating for you, right? But when we break through, then we have this total illumination and a real heart opening for ourselves. And we can come into more compassion for ourselves. Because again, everything is a projection. We are creating our own reality. If we're projecting onto another and getting frustrated, it's only about ourselves, right? And so when we have that illumination, the realization, then we can really start making some shifts for ourselves and start shifting our own frequency to draw in the people that are nourishing and are supportive and are in alignment with where we are. But that's us having to do the work, right? And quit focusing on the external. If you're drawing that into your life, you got to look at why. That's what really I had to do for myself, recognize like, oh my gosh, I created all of this. And I was looking for somebody to project onto, right? To distract from my own shit. So, and once that person was gone, once those relationships are gone, then you're just there by yourself. And do you go turn around and do it again and find the next person you're going to save? Or you start saving yourself, right? And going within and looking at like, what is it about myself that I need to get more into alignment with? Where am I out of alignment with how I want to be living my life, right? And how can I be more supportive and nourishing for myself? I really saw where there's other ways that I would create that same experience and look to external forces and factors to project onto when I wasn't succeeding in the way or living in the way that I wanted to. There was always some sort of, once the relationship was gone, the stuff was still there, right? Had nothing to do with them. So really important, the illumination that comes when we can break through these things. And then here it's just like this is a Hanged Man. It's a whole new perspective. And and that's what was coming through right there, was a new understanding of that it's nothing to do with them, right? This is our own experience. So when we turn it around and we start looking from a different angle and from a different viewpoint, and after this growth, and we just start reflecting and go, oh, wow, I was really projecting onto them, and how is this showing up for me, and what does this mean for how I need to be living my life to come into more alignment? And this is the 6 of Swords, which comes right after the 5. So this is trusting. This is the divine that's really moving us out of these patterns as we're talking about this. And we're moving into a whole new way of being right now and a whole new way of doing relationships. We're getting very conscious of these patterns. And so this is, really being supported and allowing ourselves to be guided in a new direction, right? But she's definitely kind of, a little forlorn there. This isn't like still a super happy energy. So I read this card as a trust, allowing ourselves to be, to navigate out of these waters, these choppy waters, right? These unhealthy emotional attachments too. We can get really attached to this. I recognize that it was really a pattern of mine throughout a number of relationships, right? So allowing the divine to guide us on out of there, and we might not be there yet, but we just trust the process, right? And know that we're being held. So, and that really moves into the 10 of Cups, which is just so much fulfillment. And look at this happy card, right? It's just so nourishing and loving, and everything is there. It's abundance and it's fulfillment, right? This is the cups. It's water. It's emotions. It's our intuition. It's that sacred feminine, but it's love, love, love. I feel so much love in this card. I mean, look at, it's like a happy family. And yeah, when we do the work and we face this and we recognize and we move out of these patterns, this is what it's shifting us into. This is what's on the other side of all that. And then here is the star card that was on the bottom of the deck. So for me, this is such a card of spiritual growth and illumination and the journey. So this is kind of like an underlying theme of this whole process. So really have compassion for ourselves, right? We picked up these patterns, and a lot of it comes from our heart, right? We really do want to see people succeed, and that's how we are with ourselves. We want ourselves to succeed, but we want to love ourselves deeply, but we've projected onto another, and again, looking for them to fulfill us and nourish us and make us feel whole. But this is our journey. This is our journey, right? So it's bringing it inside. It's a coming inside, and compassion. I just feel such compassion when I see this card right now. So have compassion for ourselves, appreciate the process, understand, there is a love. We are all connected. We are all one. So of course, when we see another person in pain or we see them struggling, we want to help. But look at where that's a reflection of ourselves, and where is it an unhealthy expression, right? And attaching to a lower vibe frequency that can keep us from rising in our frequency, right? That's ultimately what this was doing for me. And when I had to really kind of cut ties on that, and just like, it was just one way I was using to keep myself down. Actually, it was an excuse, right? When I step away from all that, I really have to take control. I really have to take responsibility for myself and how I'm showing up, not look to somebody else to see what they're doing and if only they, blah, blah, blah. So really, it's a way to keep ourselves out of taking responsibility for ourselves. So, but again, have compassion for that. We're on a journey. This is a spiritual path. Trust the process. And just know that we're divinely guided, right? There's also guidance here. This is beautiful. And then that moved into the death card, right? There's a whole death and rebirth, letting go of that old way of being, that old way of doing relationships, that old way of doing sexuality, and really opening into a brand new way, right? With death of the old comes birth of the new. My camera keeps cutting out. We're going to try this again and try to wrap it up, because that's kind of frustrating. I don't know what's going on. But the death card, with death, endings come new beginnings, right? So we can see through this beautiful area here, this new dawn, new light emerging. It's beautiful. So really allowing that transformation, allowing ourselves to see the mirror. What have we drawn in? What's going on in our lives? And let's look at that and see how it's a reflection of our own inner experience, right? If we've got relationships like this with people, with jobs and careers, with what have you, with the government, right? It's always their fault. It's them. It's this. It's that. It's some external thing that we want to outsource our power to, when really we need to come in and take responsibility and own it, right? Where are we not living in alignment with our truth and with our higher selves, right? Where are we not in integrity? Where are we pushing off the responsibility and being in victim consciousness, right? Because that really those relationships allowed me to be more in that victim consciousness. If only this was happening, if only they would, blah, blah, blah. Some external factor is affecting my world deeply. And eventually I did start, I took responsibility. I'm like, this isn't working. I got to stop this. I got to face facts and really get into my power around all of this and quit waiting for the change, right? That's another piece, right? We'll just sit there and wait, and then get to the end of our lives and like, what happened to those decades, right? And nothing ever shifted or changed. So this is our responsibility. So anyway, and again, around the sacred sexuality piece, right? Where are we waiting for the other to start that communication, to show up differently, to reach out and connect, right? We have to take responsibility for our sexual expression and our sexual journey, right? Really freaking important. We want somebody else to show up or to do the thing or to change, right? I see this a lot. If only they wanted more sex, if only they this, if only they that, then everything would be fine. That's not it. And again, what's the projection? And why are you aligned with this in your life that's not really fully supporting and nourishing? It's because you're not nourishing and supporting yourself and making those healthy choices and decisions and actions, taking action to create the life that you want, to create that sexual experience and expression that you want, to get in alignment with your truth. So really important to take responsibility. So I am going to cut this off before my camera stops again, because that's crazy. This is like the fourth take here now. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to our dear spirit guides and helpers, Mother Earth, Father, Son, our archangels, whoever it is we connect with, our higher selves. Thank everyone for supporting us so beautifully. Thank you to these beautiful cards. So lovely. I wonder what came through for you during this reading that was a little choppy. Again, technology was a little strange. And yeah, I just see a lot of really positive growth happening for us. And this is such an important topic and really powerful time to be releasing during a lot of Pisces energy right now. We're really in a clearing. So if this is speaking to you, set the intention, do ritual around it, do meditation, journal. What are you ready to let go of? What are you not going to carry forward? How can you get really clear on who you are, what's important to you, and who you want in your life? And then start aligning with that, really taking the action, right? Allowing the things to fall away that aren't serving you. Trusting in this process, right? If you're in this place where it's just like, this is weighing on my mind, this is heavy stuff, and how do I let go? Do trust the process. A lot is being cleared out for us right now, and it's really beautiful. And we don't even really necessarily have to do much about it. Just trust it. There's a time for taking action for sure. I'm seeing this right now as kind of a little bit more of a trusting, but do get clear on what's important to you and how you want to live your life, and then put that out into the universe, right? And just be like, but until we get clear, we're just going to get projections, right? We're just going to keep projecting. But when we dive in, get clear on these limited beliefs, get clear on what we've been doing and drawing in, and then work on clearing that out and open to a new way of being. Powerful things happen, really powerful things. So I pray that this supports you on your journey. This is a really important one for so many of us, where a lot of us, people pleasers, caretakers, just really wanting to support the other person. But how are we supporting ourselves, right? Put on your own life mask first, oxygen mask first, life vest first, whatever, when we're flying. So thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this is speaking to you. It really supports getting it out into the algorithm, and I'm so passionate about supporting this, supporting all of us on our journey, right, and our sacred sexuality, and really being in our power and having those juicy, sexy, sensual connections with life, with each other, with ourselves, right? It's loving ourselves first and foremost, allowing the love in. Please check out the rest of my channel for so much more to support you on your journey, your sacred sexuality journey, and your spiritual path. And please visit my website for tons of resources, one-on-one sessions, pilgrimages, programs, community events, a lot of really juicy events going on throughout the month to support you in your process and to connect with others on this path. It's really lovely and just so nourishing, right? So good. I think that's it. Thank you, and thanks for bearing with me with this funny technology. So